right now in the campaign. You think we're going to be truthful to you once we take office? No. And if I make a mistake, I will tell you, you know what? I made a mistake and I'm sorry. I'm not going to try to lie to you. I'm not going to talk in circles and try to, bamboozle you with BS. Thank you.
Please summarize the key aspects of your platform and what you hope to accomplish in this position. You would have 4 minutes. Thank you. Please summarize the key aspects of your platform and what you hope to accomplish in this position.
The aspects of my platform are the same that I had 20 years ago when I ran for county judge the first time. And I'm glad to say that everything that I promised, I accomplished. We talked about jobs. We created 17,000 jobs, and I'll tell you why. We created the Workforce Development Board that had been 10 years overdue because our county judge back then, Edgar Ruiz, was Mr. Democrat, and the mayor from McAllen, Otho Brand, was Mr. Republican. So they couldn't get it together to create the board. Well, Edgar left office and Otho Brand was beaten by Leo Montalvo. Leo Montalvo and I got together as soon as possible and we created the Workforce Development Board. That's how all these call centers came to Hidalgo County. Total 17,000 jobs. We talk about the creation of the jobs. Okay, the first one was reduce the taxes. The administration today says we lowered the tax rate by 1 penny. Big deal. The previous administration, and I don't mean it with disrespect. When we took office in '99, the previous administration lowered the tax rate 3 cents 2 years in a row. So that was 6 cents, that deficit, and we made that work for 2 years. We started building a jail that was long overdue, a juvenile detention facility. We spent $16 million on roads with the same tax rate. We talk about veteran services. We brought a cemetery for all veterans and their wives to have their final resting place and not cost them 1 penny. We brought a retirement home for veterans. There's a lot to be done, a lot to be done. Proposition 1, you all heard about, that my opponent supported. Most of his, excuse me?
Please, no personal attacks.
It's not a personal attack. That's fact. Okay, so what I'm saying is, there's a difference. Anyway, so, but we created a health services district in the year 2000, and you know what? 0 taxes were going to be raised, and we were going to leverage tobacco settlement money. So there's a lot to be done. 20 years later, the same problems are here, but now it's a courthouse that I do not believe should be as expensive, and a courthouse that you should have a say as to how much money is going to be spent and where it's going to be built. We can't let 5 people decide, I'm going to spend $150 million of your money, and guess what? There's nothing you can do about it, and you can't talk about it. No, I want to open it up to you. My opponent thinks Ramon Garcia is the best thing since sliced bread. That's fine. But at the same time, the concept of building a courthouse and to think that you're going to create economic development in Town Square on a parking lot that's the only place for people to park for jury duty, it doesn't make sense. Okay? Now,
30 seconds.
I'm willing to give you my experience, because I have experience as a county judge, as a county clerk, as an administrator. I've got over 30 years experience as an administrator. And being on the city council, that's great. You can vote, because city councils, all they do is vote. They have no administrative duties, period. As a county judge, it's a 10-hour-a-day job, 12-hour-a-day job. I did it for 4 years, and I'm willing to do it again because that's what you deserve. It's not a retirement place. It's not a place to come and just take it easy. It's about giving you 10 to 12 hours of work every day. Thank you. God bless you.
Out of respect for this organization, which I have a lot of respect for young people that want to be part of society, part of something good, I try to answer the question that was asked, not to give an oration of what I want to say or want to do. But I think it's important for all of you to know one thing, okay? We can say whatever they want to say. He just said that I was for Proposition 1, and he said that's a fact. I bet you he cannot even define what a fact is. Well, let me define it for you. It's a known truth, okay? It's a known truth. So if he knows for a fact that I supported Proposition 1, then if you were in a courtroom, you would say, well, show me the evidence, okay? So we know today that being right or being truthful isn't important anymore, because we can say anything. But let me give you a fact, okay? When he was in office, which he's boasting today of how much he did, he went from a 44-cent tax to a 59. That's 15-cent increase. So he increased your taxes 3 out of 4 years. We all have savings accounts because we all know that tomorrow may not be good. Those are called fund balances. Those are called reserves. Today we have over $30 million in reserves. When he left office with $700,000. He boasts about building a jail. It started off with a $44 million budget, and it ended up being a $55 million budget. You know, if I wanted to boast about something, this is what I would boast about. When I was in office, and this is a fact, I was in office for 8 years. I never increased anybody's tax. I built an international bridge, multi-million-dollar bridge on time and on budget. I built a convention center on time and on budget. I built a library on time and on budget. We created a lot of preservation ordinances, a lot of economic development ordinances, brought a lot of people into McAllen to provide jobs for a lot of people. Those are facts. So if my opponent says that he is a qualified administrator, the position of county judge is a position of trust. It's a position that is very important, okay? And if he were so good at what he did, has anybody asked him how many jobs he's had and how many jobs he's held since he left office, okay? I don't need a job. I don't need a job. I've done very well professionally, but I have a lot of skills, a lot of training, a lot of experience that I simply want to give and serve my community that's been very good. I did not come here to attack my opponent. I came here to tell you why I think I'm qualified to be your county judge. If all he wants to do is attack me, that's fine. But you know what? You decide whether he's going to get away with it or not.
30 seconds.
You decide when you go to vote. Early voting starts on February the 20th. I highly recommend that you go vote for Richard Cortez, because you're going to have a county judge that you can be proud of.
Thank you. That was the end of the Hidalgo County Judge race. Thank you for participating. Next we have the County Commissioner. Please use the hashtag RGVDems on Twitter.
Zero, man. Take care.
Hi, we're going to start the County Commission Forum. Commissioner, the first question, you have 3 minutes. What type of initiative and financing will you utilize to fund projects?
Good question. First of all, Joseph Velasquez, Hidalgo County Commissioner, Precinct 4, been in office for 7 years. And creative financing, I got extensive experience, 27 years of experience. I've been a grant writer, I've been a director, I've been a chief of staff. A lot of what we've done in the last 7 years has been that creative financing. We've gone out, secured close to about $400 million of state and federal funds in infrastructure and various issues. I'll give you examples of some of those. We went after some search grants. That's some funding that the state has for that we were able to get from the fracking industry to build roads. We built the longest section of roadway in the shortest amount of time in Brushline Road that gives our traffic alternate routes when 281's down. The other thing we've done, we've retrofitted our crews, our precinct to be full-fledged construction crews. We build infrastructure, road infrastructure and drainage infrastructure. The monumental thing that we've done on creative financing is that we've been building state and federal projects. With that becomes a reimbursable. We are the only income producing precinct in all of Hidalgo County and the state of Texas, making close to $2 to $3 million annually, which we reinvest that back in infrastructure. That has literally been the keys to success in what we've done in the last 7 years. And it's what I believe is a recipe for success as we continue to grow, is to get all that alternative funding that's out there.
The Section 287G program allows certain state and local law enforcement agencies to engage in federal immigration enforcement activities. The ACLU has strongly opposed the 287G program, believing it has led to illegal racial profiling and civil rights abuses, while diverting scarce resources from traditional local laws enforcement functions and distorting immigration enforcement priorities. Will you sign on this program on behalf of Hidalgo County, and how will you enforce immigration laws?
Immigration laws, it's a federal issue. I'm against it. I don't favor it. Being a county south of the border check creates complex problems for our residents. And I've seen what's been happening throughout the nation on racial profiling, and I really think it's completely counterproductive and it affects us adversely for a community's sake. I also oppose DACA. I think that, I don't oppose DACA, I support DACA. I believe that the federal government needs to find better solutions for our immigration issues that we're having, especially being south of the border check. So I don't sign on for that. I think we need to continue working with our federal government as well as our state legislators to continue to come to the table and find better solutions with the immigration issue. And serving as a county commissioner, I also serve on different capacities. I'm on the Border Trade Alliance. I'm the vice chairman of the MPO, as well as the president of South Texas Judges and Commissioners Association. And being in the leadership has allowed us to start pushing resolutions to assure that our legislators are finding better solutions to the problem. I don't believe we have that solution to date, and we need to work together to find that solution.
What projects will you focus on, and what are your plans as county commissioner?
The biggest plans that I have is to continue to build on the projects that we've done to date. We are growing by leaps and bounds. We are set to hit about 1 million people in Hidalgo County alone. One of the biggest things that we need to continue to do is preserve life and property. And as if you just go, you don't have to go very far. In 2015, we were plagued with heavy rains. As you look every single day, we're experiencing monumental, catastrophic events. And what we need to do is prepare more as a county for those types of events. We've been very successful in building infrastructure. We've built more than 60 drainage infrastructure projects throughout our district, and that's to preserve property and life. Second to that, we need to continue to build infrastructure. Mobility and safety to our residents is critical. And just today, this morning, we had a groundbreaking ceremony for 10th Street. It's the corridor that's going to take traffic north and south from 107 to Montecristo. As I said earlier, I'm vice chairman of the MPO. And one of the things we're doing, and it's going to be monumental to success for our area, not just for Hidalgo County, but all of Rio Grande Valley, is to have the merger. And as vice chairman, I'm promoting a merger with Cameron County, our MPO, and Brownsville, so that we can start utilizing and garnering from $14 million to about $140 million of for infrastructure primarily. What that's going to do is going to continue to increase our tax base. It's going to create jobs. And I like the questions earlier, but that's really the keys to success here. You know, we need to depend less on our ad valorem tax, which is the burden on our taxpayers, or what they pay in property taxes, and we need to start garnering more state and federal resources for local projects, and that's what we're doing right now. We got more than $400 million in infrastructure throughout the district, and that's going to be the keys to success. That's going to create the jobs that we need. That's going to give our students an opportunity to get better wage jobs, and that's what I stand to do every single day. Now, I don't manage my business behind a desk. I have 27 years of direct experience, in, not just from construction to administration to every aspect that the job calls for. And I manage it in the trench.
Please summarize the key aspects of your platform and what you hope to accomplish in this position.
The key aspects of my platform is to continue working for people. I believe in the service. I've been in the military. I served in the United States Army. My birth in service started 27 years ago. I believe in my country. I'm not happy with where we're at this point in time. I've worked for state agencies, I work for local municipalities, and I work for county government. And I believe that county government is the closest government to people. It's the biggest place where we can make the most monumental changes, and that change is progress. It really is. We are growing by leaps and bounds. Hidalgo County continues to be the fastest growing county in Texas. And what it's going to need leadership that's there day in and day out working for you. One of the successes that I believe is not just in infrastructure, not just in quality of life projects because we built them. We need to continue to build safer, cleaner communities. We need to continue to think about every taxpayer. And I beg to differ, and I don't mean this from disrespect by any means. 1 cent on a tax rate is a step in the right direction. And I've led the efforts for comprehensive budget reform. I believe that we can continue to garner millions of dollars on the state and federal area and continue to reduce that tax rate, which did go up years ago. And my commitment is to taxpayers. My commitment is to families and my community. And we're going to continue working hard for you. And that's what I stand for. And we built, for 7 years, we built impeccable, indelible, without any doubt. We monumentally made a difference, and we want to continue doing that for our community. Thank you.
This concludes the county commissioner phrase.
I was hoping that my opponent was here so I could hear. But thank you very much for your time. I am a born Democrat, through and through Democrat, and I really appreciate being around Democrats. Thank you.
The next race will be the County Court at Law, number 5. Court at Law number 5. I just want to remind everyone that you can use the hashtag RGVDems on Twitter. Thank you. Okay. This will commence the County Court at Law number 5, forum-raise. Okay, why are you running for office? Whoever wants to start. You have 3 minutes.
3 minutes?
Yes.
Okay. The reason I'm running, well, let me introduce myself first. My name is Armando Marroquin. I'm running for County Court at Law number 5. The reason that I'm running for office is I've been practicing for close to 15 years here in this county, and I believe that it's time for a positive change in County Court 5. And when I say positive change, I'm not talking about replacing somebody who's going to do the exact same thing that the person who's in there is doing right now. What I'm talking about is to make some positive change, to push cases through efficiently, to be more effective in the way that rulings are made, as well as the fact that to be empathetic to the people who come to court.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. My name is Arnoldo Cantu Jr. I am the judge at Court 5, and I've been there for 15 years. The reason I'm running for the job is, it's a long story, but it has to do with the way I grew up here in Hidalgo County. I grew up humble. I grew up with a mother that, at my dad's urging, went back to school at night. It took my mom 10 years to become a teacher. During that time, my dad had become a teacher. I think it was just meant to be that I would get into education. I became an educator. As a young adult, a graduate of what is now UTRGV, back then it was Pan American University. I started my young career as a teacher. Teaching is in my blood. I went to law school at night while I was teaching during the day. I became an attorney. After about 13 or 14 years of practice, I became a judge. That has helped me help people even more than when I was in the classroom. I push young people with some authority now, okay, because now I'm a judge. I can push young people back to school, and I get a lot of young offenders. And I urge them, if not order them back to school. They get a GED or they go back to school. By one estimate from a probation officer, I have successfully had close to 4,000 young people either go back to school or get a GED. And that's one of the reasons that I'm seeking this post. I want to continue what I've been doing. We work hard. And it's not about pushing people through court, because we are busy. In the time that I've been there, we've disposed of over 57,000 cases. 57,000 cases, ladies and gentlemen. That's the combined population of 3 or 4 of our communities. And I take a little time with them, and I make sure that they've reached their potential. If they haven't gone to school and they want to get out of jail and be on probation, they're going to go to school.
30 seconds.
I do this to help my community. Ultimately, the teacher in me is helping the young person. I open doors to students. I visit schools. I visit UTRGV.